On Tuesday, U.S. voters will head to the polls and cast their ballots in the midterm congressional elections there. Behind the scenes, some Canadian corporations are wielding their might to influence the outcome. Records show TransCanada, Encana, Barrick, Royal Bank of Canada, and Power Corp have contributed to campaigns at the federal and state levels in America. As a result of a 2010 U.S. Supreme Court ruling, corporations are free to make financial contributions to lobbying organizations known as Super Political Action Committees, so-called Super PACs. There are no limits on how much they can spend to support individual campaigns or political parties. In the first 9 months of this year, 25 Canadian firms spent $15 million on direct lobbying in Washington. Contributions from political action committees controlled by American subsidiaries of 21 large Canadian companies added up to $1.2 million in the first 8 months of 2014. In the U.S., American shareholders have filed proposals calling for disclosures on political spending from 135 corporations. Toronto-based SHARE, the Shareholder Association for Research and Education, is trying to drum up a similar initiative from Canadian-based shareholder groups. The last word on this goes to Roger Griffiths. And I guess I want to start with whether you were surprised. I was a little bit surprised that they're using the super PACs in this way. On the other hand, lobbying in America seems fairly rational if you do a lot of business there, and you know that that's the way business gets done. Yeah, American corporations last year spent $3.5 billion on contributions to super PACs and to candidates across the United States. I think this is a non-story. I think SHARE is maybe getting a little desperate on where they can find the next corporate scalp to hang on the wall in their good governance crusade. I mean, let's face it, corporations are going to do this in the United States. It's in their interest, and it's U.S. employees who are making these donations. It's against the law in the United States for a foreign entity, either an individual or a corporation, to contribute to a super PAC or to a campaign. I think it's a non-issue. Well, I don't know that it's a non-issue. I mean, I guess the question that I would put is, how would you feel if, whether it's through employees or not, and we'll cock an eyebrow at that one, some foreign multinational corporations were investing in the political campaigns in this country? That feels wrong. I take your point on the lobbying dollars, and frankly, the numbers at play here are pretty darn small compared to the $3 billion U.S. corporations spent. We're talking about $15 million, so it's pennies on the dollar. But even so, is it right that we should try to influence another government? Well, look, American political fundraising laws are nuts, like bizarro land, and they need radical reform, and they're deeply undemocratic. But that's their problem, man. Frankly, I don't care, and I don't see why, again, our good governance organizations like SHARE are focusing on this. Go after, I don't know, multiple voting shares. Go after corporate cronyism in Canada. There's a lot of good stuff that they could focus on. This seems like I don't know, a point of trivia. Almost. Yeah, I mean, you've raised a couple of good issues to go after. Having said that, disclosure of how you're spending and investing in these super PACs, I think, does make sense. There should be clarity. If they don't disclose, they probably should, right? If you're a shareholder, you would want to know that that's how this money is being spent and why and to what end. So possibly. I mean, if it is employee contributions, and I believe under U.S. law, this is pretty strict stuff. If you violate it, you're in big trouble. Yeah. I don't know. Do you have a right as a shareholder to know what employees are contributing out of their own pockets into super PACs under the name of a company? That gets kind of gray. Well, except that they are associated with that company, right? They're not individuals making these donations. It is actually under the aegis of this organization. Yeah, then I think we do have a right to know if you're a shareholder and to know what the intent of that is. In the same way that we have a right to know when businesses lobby, just who it is they're lobbying and why they're doing it. I think disclosure is a good thing. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah, I guess so. Whatever, sunlight is the ultimate antiseptic? That's what they say. That's what they say. Speaking of, another story that came to our attention that we talked to you about at the top of the show, new evidence traders get market-moving information ahead of competitors. Some traders, that is. Jonathan Rogers of the University of Colorado analyzed the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's distribution system. His research looked at legal insider trades from March 2012 to December 2013. They sampled 4,782 disclosures about a corporate insider buying stock in his own company. In 57% of the cases, the subscriber who paid money to receive this information received it before it was publicly available on the SEC website. The reports found that when subscribers got the information early, stock prices and volumes moved early as well. The findings are likely to increase pressure on the SEC to change the way it distributes information. Rudyard, I could only describe my reaction to this story as gobsmacked, because high-frequency traders have been, as we know now, to great dismay, been gaming the market by getting in front of other people, getting access to information early, sometimes using technology, sometimes by buying it from services. The regulator is supposed to be clamping down on it to make the market fair and level the playing field. And the regulator's own website seems to be one of the culprits. I mean, it just makes you want to just scratch your head and ask what's going on.
Big black eye for the SEC. But let's take this conversation one step forward. Why aren't we banning high-frequency trading?
Right.
I mean, Michael Spence, the 2001 Nobel laureate for economics, has argued this.
You're going to make me defend high-frequency
trading?
trading?
Yeah, I'm going to make you defend, you know, these rapacious barbarians on Wall Street.
There is a certain amount of trading that happens now via algorithms and computers that's very healthy for a fully functioning capital market because the markets are broad and deep. You need volume. And so they do provide that service by moving quickly without any kind of human intervention. So there's always going to be a role for some form of high-frequency trading. Where I would agree with you is, why do we allow high-frequency trading that's faster than any other type of trading? In other words, that can get in front of other trades, because we do have evidence people will and have used that to their advantage.
I think there's evidence, though, and this study points to it, of a systemic link between insider trading and high-frequency trading. It's happened time and time again. This technology really works, really delivers ROI when, frankly, people feed it with information that they should not have. I think the incentives are too great. I think human nature is too warped and crooked to expect that we can have these kind of mass, instruments of potential financial destruction, as we saw in that flash crash.
Yes.
Last year, in the hands of greedy people who are going to be motivated by making money for themselves.
Something else was highlighted in the course of all of this sort of revelation about access to information, and that is that people who can pay for information can get it faster. So, for instance, we talked about this in terms of a consumer confidence number that's created not by the Commerce Department but by a private group. You can subscribe to that organization and get that number a little bit ahead of everybody else. Not much, but a little bit. Apparently, because of its EDGAR filing system, you can subscribe to the SEC's filings and get them ahead of time. What I would say is, in this world where we know we want a level playing field of information, stop allowing that. Stop allowing people to pay for access to information, and stop it altogether forever for everybody today.
Yeah, again, I just go the one step further. I mean, 70% of all equity trades in the United States last year were high-frequency trades.
Yeah.
That's to me out of control. It's over the top.
Only because you've decided it is?
No, but there's one thing to narrow between the bid and the ask, which high-frequency trading does, but do they need to have 70% of all trades to achieve that?
Well,
there must be.
I'm
sure a very smart math PhD out there watching right now could come up with that number. It's not 70% of all equity trades.
I don't know. I mean, I agree with you intuitively that too much of it seems like too much, but who's going to come up with the right number other than just a functioning market that decides what it wants to do? I mean, I think you could create regulations to make high-frequency trading less attractive, including all this sort of front-running allegations, but other than that, you either shut it down or you say, well, we think it has some value, and you let it be.
They're never going to shut it down. The lobbyists are too strong, to circle back on our first item.
Yeah,
a lot more than $50 million being paid by the high-frequency lobby to make sure that they continue to do what they do.